Good evening, children. Today we will start the revision of the last chapter in moments as per according to the syllabus of UT2. And this chapter is very interesting, written by a great English author, Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was a famous novelist, poet, and essayist of 19th century. The Happy Prince is a very interesting story which tells us the human nature that in a lifetime the man is so feelingless that he neglect the sufferings, the sorrows of life of the ordinary person. But here also the writer describes the feelings of a person after his death, that how he became selfless and his heart was beating only for the welfare of the people. Such is the story that, in another way, we can say that after his death, the happy prince became so kind and merciful towards his people. And the feelings of the little swallow is also greater than the human being. So the story deals with a great message that how the happy prince and the swallow become the two most important and valuable things of that kingdom. And being merciful towards his subject after his death, the soul of the happy prince became immortal because his soul, his Latin heart, and the swallow, they both got the place in the garden of paradise. So, first, I have given you the introduction of the chapter, and Oscar Wilde very beautifully framed the story because I'm going to start the story and I will also express you the summary of the story. And before expressing the summary, I will give you the whole introduction of the story. And the writer is Oscar Wilde, is an author of international repute. The Happy Prince is the inspiring story of a prince. By living as a human being, the prince did not know anything about the sufferings. When prince was alive, जब prince जीवित था, and because he was the member of a royal family, and he did not know anything about the human sufferings. वो कुछ जानता ही नहीं था कि ज़िंदगी में परेशानियाँ क्या होती हैं, ह्यूमन सफरिंग्स क्या होती हैं. After his death, when his statue was situated on the tall column high above the city, he could see the ugliness and misery of the people of his city. Now he was able to see the ugliness and the misery of the life of his people in the city. Through his swallow, he sent rare jewels and gold. Because anyhow, he was, after his death, he was unable to move here and there. But he was weeping to show the miserable condition of his people. Now he want to help the people, but at that time he got the help of a swallow that he usually become easily they become friends. Now the swallow has worked as a messenger, and by the help of the swallow, the happy prince did his best to change the life of his people. The statue of the happy prince stood in a tall column. The statue of the happy prince was situated on a tall column. And by this column, he was able to see the condition of his people. And in this way, he was watching everything. And when he remembers his previous life when he was alive, he always was unaware about the ugliness of human life. All of a sudden, the prince was able to see the miserable condition of the people, but he was unable to help them. This statue was covered with the golden leaves, and the ravi of his sword was made of a costly metal. All the two big eyes were made of the costly sapphires. Now it was the condition of the statue of the happy prince. All of a sudden, when a swallow passed from the city, because the swallow was going to Egypt, and to spend the night, she decided to spend the night in the foot of this statue of the happy prince. As the swallow was about to sleep, at once she felt a drop of water on his body, and so as she saw towards the sky, but there were no clouds there. The swallow was amazed that what was going on. It was raining without clouds. Again, she felt the second drop on his body. But it was all of sudden when he see towards the statue of the happy prince, she saw that these drops were coming from the eyes of the statue. At once the swallow think that this statue, at once he asked the reason why you are weeping. Then the prince told him whole the story that when he was alive, he was called the happy prince by his courtiers. But after his death, when his statue was made on the tall column, now he can see the ugliness of the city, and he could, because he loved his people very much, so he can't bear the sorrows and sufferings of his people, so he was weeping. Now he want to help his people at any rate, so he requested the swallow to become his messenger only for one night. The swallow, who was going to Egypt due to the arriving of the winter season in the European countries, so in search of warm weather, swallow was going to Egypt. But on the request of the happy prince, she decided that only for one night she will become the messenger of the happy prince. At once the happy prince ordered the swallow to take the ruby of his sword, which was made of a costly matter, and directly go to the seamstress, whose son was suffering from fever, and he was demanding an orange. But the seamstress was so poor that she was unable to provide him anything else except water. Now the swallow decided to go to the seamstress house, and at once he went there and provide the ravi of the sword and help the happy prince. So by getting the costly handle of the sword, the seamstress became very happy. Thus, one by one, the happy prince donated everything, every part of his body, as the sapphire he gave to the sapphire to a playwright. He gave another sapphire to the match girl, and now he became blind. So Swallow had decided that she will never left the prince. At last, when Swallow told the prince about the pitiable condition of the people, that they have no proper clothes, they have no fire in their house, and the people were dying due to hunger. So the swallow has described the pathetic condition of the people to the prince, and his heart also filled with pity towards them. And at last he decided to give all the golden leaves of his body to the people. And at last, the condition of the statue is become just like a beggar. Now the work is over and the condition of the people became well. But the condition of the statue was just like a beggar. And it was also the arriving of the winter season. So, because Swallow had decided to live with the prince forever, this was the reason that with the arrival of the winter season, Swallow know very well that she will die very soon. At last, she came to the happy prince to say him goodbye. And at last, he died on the feet of the happy prince. In the morning, the mayor and the councillors visited the city, and they saw that the swallow was died. They saw the dead body. And with the death of the swallow, the leaden heart of the prince was also broken. And on the order of the mayor, the on the order of the mayor, the statue was broken and it was melted in the furnace. And the leaden heart and the dead body of the swallow was useless, and they have to throw in the garbage. At last, the god ordered his messengers to took the two most costly things of the city, and at last the messenger bent him with the dead body of the swallow and the broken leaden heart of the prince. And at last they were rewarded for their goodwill, and the god have rewarded them by giving them place in the garden of paradise. So, student, this is whole the summary of the story, and I have explained you whole the story in a short manner, but you have to read the story thoroughly, and after it, you will completely prepare yourself for your UT first exam, and it is the last chapter according to the syllabus, and we have completed the summary of every chapter, and since next turn we will start the grammar portion. Okay students, goodbye.